Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Happy New Year to all. 2023 is over. I'm glad to see the back of it for personal reasons, but I think we had the year of the specialty ship here in STFC. I've branded that a couple of times. We had 6 new specialty ships introduced during 2023, more than any other year before. Lots of new loops added, a couple of little nuggets that took away time like the freebooters, but all in all, I think an uplift in time, some good features, some pretty big flops as well, a couple of them, but we're not here to talk about that today. Today we are going to be giving you a hint towards the Arc 1 in 2024, the January Arc, so stay tuned for that. That will be at some point during the video, but today we're going to do our standard hits and misses video for update 61, which was December 2023. What we liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and like I say, there will be a hint contained, so stay tuned for that. Here we go then. So what did we get in patch 61? So patch 61 we got section 31 faction store. That was added. So a brand new faction added to the game. So if we flip back into game, we can go now into factions and we see we now have a much longer list. Obviously we've had 2 added this month. No, we haven't. We've had 2 added this year. 2 factions added, the X-Borg and the Section 31. And obviously this store was added, which does have some great benefits. I am really pleased with the Section 31 store. It's all tied into the new wave defense, which if we pop back to the announcement, the patch updates for 61, we did see at the bottom, we did get the new wave defense there, the new activity, which I think was one of the best things introduced in the Arc, if I'm being bluntly honest. We got a new building, which was the facade, or the facade, as Silvers like to call it, but we'll stick with facade, which is the actual name for it, but I did quite like the term facade. But the facade itself, that building offering some pretty decent buffs, obviously one of them specific to wave defense, which was wave defense damage bonus, another hull increaser, officer stat bonuses, Armada countdown speed ups. Interesting. And obviously then there's the power for the building as well, which is fair enough. But yeah, the new facade building, which was a nice addition to the game, a couple of decent buffs, but obviously the amount of hull increases that we've had over the last few months and recent arcs and things, these numbers are now being heavily diluted. It's sort of becoming a bit like damage really, where a 10-20% boost used to feel something. It's now just sort of bleeding into the noise. So just a quick tip there, try and stop putting so much hull in there, and they're still going to be huge numbers. We got the new battle simulator minigame. Yeah, enough said about that. That does nothing for me, I'll be honest with you. We've got new officers, obviously new missions, and it says more. So the facade and the new wave defense feature, really happy with that. Lots of people have engaged in that. We got a new fleet commander in Luther Sloan. So combat related buffs, max cargo, hostile loot increases, isolated defense, which is nice. He was a decent fleet commander, and what I really liked about him was that we got free to play sourcing starting day 1 from the Section 31 store. So I'm really happy with that. So utility buffs and things. The 2 new officers we got Enterprise E Riker and Enterprise E Troy, added to Ent E Picard and Ent E Data, launched last month. A couple of decent bonuses there, obviously increasing crit chance for 4 rounds for Enterprise E Riker, and then a speed boost when as captain, which has proved very helpful, especially for me in wave defenses. So I do see a use for Riker. Enterprise E Troy, below deck, she is like another Odo, increasing your critical hit damage by 20% through 90% depending on what tier that you have Troy at, and then obviously the shield stripping ability based on the percentage of your total attack stats. This was bugged at the start of the arc and it looked, oh my god, OP. They did fix it back to, well, change it. Maybe more accurate. They did change it back to where it should have been, where they intend it to be, and it's still not a terrible ability as an officer ability. New missions, I don't get excited about missions. 2 new refits, one for the Define and one for the Talios. Increasing your amplified claim bundle by 50%, and the Talios increasing innate probe gain from killing Borg probes. This is very similar to the original Vidar skin, just adding a bonus to collection of probes, so speeding up a little bit those probe runs before you fill your cargo, or potentially if you don't fill your cargo, getting you a bit more cargo each run. We got a shield bonus prime by 400%. We got a delta spike, which again was a prime, improving the Voyager refinery payouts. We get 3 additional artifact rolls on the common and rare anomalies from within your Voyager refinery. we tried this new buff event, which we'll talk about later, where we had 3 weekends of 3 different buffs. The first one was Armadas, then we had Precious Prospecting, which was mining, and then we had a damage increaser as well. Now these 50% look as if you would think, well, let's just ignore that, but these were 50% net, which I think was a nice thing. Battle Simulator, I'm not going to go massively into that, and a decent list of bug fixes, and a couple of localization issues as well. So we did have some decent things added to the game, but let's move on, and let's start off with the negatives, and then we'll end on the positives as we tend to do. So we'll start off with our first miss. So the first miss for me was in relation to wave defence. So as much as I liked it overall, there was a big issue I thought with wave defence, and that was the fact that there was a requirement for the new introduced third battle pass that's been added to the game, whereby you needed to really sort of complete one wave every single day, and that led me to look at a feature that I really enjoyed for the first few days, make it feel a little bit like a chore, which I think is a massive shame. I think the feature has really got legs. I think it's massively got legs. I think it's superb. I think it's the best bit of cooperative team play and something new and innovative that they've added to the game, and I'm really pleased with that. But I just feel that the battle pass, having the requirement to actually do a wave every single day in order to be able to complete it to get the rewards, I'm quite disappointed with that. So that is our first miss. Quite a quick one, but yeah, that's our first one. Our second miss. Before we go here, obviously, please let me know down in the comments what your hits and misses were. Obviously, you don't have to do 3 of each, but let me know what you thought were the good points and the bad points, obviously, from this. And obviously, we can feed that back to the devs. And obviously, if you've got any constructive criticism, I'm more than happy to pass that on, which is really good, really nice to see. And obviously, please, if you do like the content, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. Please do that. It's very, very nice for you to do. But our second miss was in relation to the roadmap. Now, the roadmap, normally we used to get them every 6 months. These seem to have been moved to an annualised format, really. We've got sort of one a year, which I don't mind. I don't mind getting a sneak peek on what's coming in the year after. And I just found it a little bit of a kick in the teeth for a couple of reasons. The first one was the 5th year anniversary things. Obviously, that was cut off for a large section of the player base. I ain't going to say the majority, because I think the majority of the players are US based, so they were eligible for this. However, the majority of players couldn't go to like the Paramount Day. They couldn't go and experience this. They couldn't win some of the prizes and stuff like that. And I think that's a bit of a shame. But the main issue with the miss for me was one specific part in here. As much as there's some good stuff in here that I found quite entertaining and some stuff that I think will look quite good, was this section here. So a big focus 24 will be quality rather than quantity. Starts off well. I'm happy with that. However, past history has led me to be a little bit wary of obviously exactly how this is going to work, and obviously the talk about lag, the talk about that they're not happy with obviously the general stability and all that sort of stuff with the game down here in the bug fixes, and they say it's going to be a massive priority. But the reason that this is an issue for me is because this actually was in the roadmap for 2023. So the 2022 that it was released for 2023, they said this, and if I'm honest, this year I think has been, especially 3-4 months worth of it, sort of August, September through November. I think it was one of the worst laggy bits of the game that we've experienced for a long time. So it didn't end on a good note in relation to that. It's nice that they've shouted it out, and I will give them kudos for that, for doing it. It's nice for them to acknowledge that they know that it's not been superb for everybody. Again, happy with that. However, this is a miss for me in the month in relation to this, and I feel like it was a bit of a kick in the teeth to everybody, EU APAC side that wasn't US based and able to win some of the prizes, just to repeat that they couldn't do it. And then obviously we got the turn-in as well, and I'm going to relate this in, that the turn-in for the 5-year anniversary tokens were just for a very small amount of event store loot. Obviously there was hype around the 5-year anniversary. We talked about this last month, that I felt it was a little bit lackluster. However, obviously they did give us an exchange for the 5-year anniversary tokens. You got 600 event store loot per token. I managed to pick up about 30,000, which is about 5 epic officer shards or 15 rare officer shards for 3 months worth of graft and effort. That just doesn't seem like enough to me. So that is a second miss. Obviously a little bit twiddling on last month, but obviously because this was released in December, that's why we're going to talk about it. A bit of an issue. Unlike usual, obviously where we do 3 misses, I don't have another major miss. I don't have another major miss for December, which I think is a big positive. Normally I've been able to find 3 and I've been siphoning through 4 or 5 and then been able to end up with my 3 top misses. However, this month they are my 2 main misses for the month, which I think is a positive. To find positives in a misses might sound a little bit odd, but I do find that a positive moving forward, that I was only able to find 2 things that really disappointed me in the month. Obviously, I suppose you could tie in the 5th year anniversary bugs and stability and the event store loot for the 5-year anniversary tokens. You could, I suppose, split that into 2. However, I'm not going to. I'm going to leave that in 1 and sort of say that we ended the year decently. I was quite happy with the event store loot and stuff like that, but that's not going to make it into the hits. So that's sort of where we finished in terms of the misses. So now we're going to move on to the good stuff, the stuff that we found positive, or the stuff that I found positive more than anything. Please let me know down in the comments, what were your hits and misses again? Obviously, I keep repeating that because I really do want your feedback, and Scopely have been quite hot, if I'm honest, in the last 2 or 3 weeks on trying to get feedback from the content creators to feedback into the devs. They have been a lot more proactive with that, so massive shout out to Scopely for that. Obviously, the community management team have really taken a step up on that, trying to get feedback. So the more feedback I can get from you guys, the more feedback that we can pass on to the devs. So that's outstanding. But let's move on to our hits for the Ark. There's nowhere else to start with this. This was the best feature. I'm going to put it out there. This was the best feature that has been added to STFC potentially for years, and I mean years. Wave Defense. Wave Defense was a collaborative, work with 4 other players, bring in 2 of your ships, defeat everly increasing difficulties with hostiles. There was 2 big tranches of them. There's the 40 to 60s and there's the 50 to 70 systems. So there's definitely a little bit of a stretch goal there. I don't know many people that can get a team together and go and kill the 50 to 70s all the way to wave 10. They are progressive. The rewards are good. And I just think this was so engaging. I think this was so engaging. I really enjoy doing wave defenses. I really enjoy doing it. It's one of my favourite things to do in the game now. So I'm really pleased with what they've done with waves. I think it was well engineered. I think it wasn't without its problems. And I think there are a couple of little criticisms. So I do want to see the ability to boot players from the system if you are the leader of the system. I do want the ability to star people. Obviously, so that either a boot or a star feature that needs to be added to the game so that you don't have a rogue AFK, somebody just pop in and not contribute anything, or somebody that wants to come and sort of grief you or something like that, they're just going to come in and do absolutely nothing to you and just follow you around the systems. That is a problem, and that's a bit of a downer on the feature. However, overall, I think Wave Defense was absolutely superb, and I'm really pleased with how that's launched. And that is our massive, I can't talk about it enough, that this was the most engaging feature, definitely added this year, but I think potentially for the last 3 or 4 years. Armadas felt relatively engaging when they first launched, but they got burnt out very quickly. Same with TC. TC was fun for 2-3 months while people were moving about, getting used to it, wanting to figure out how it all worked, and then that sort of died a death. But Wave Defense, with a couple of tweaks, this could be a really long-term fantastic feature added to the game. So really pleased with that, and that is our first hit. Our second hit is on the similar vein. It is on a similar vein. And obviously this is the rewards that you physically get from completing and competing within waves. So this is the Section 31 faction store. The Section 31 faction store has given us sourcing that we've been asking for a long time, as well as some catch-up, speed-up mechanics added in there as well. So what does this store offer us? So you complete wave defenses. When you complete any wave of a wave defense, you will then earn Section 31 credits. Section 31 credits can then be exchanged in this store, so you can exchange them for reputation that you need to unlock additional parts of the tree, very similar to the way that the Bajoran store works. There are Section 31 favors, again very similar to the to the Bajoran store, where you've got favors that are going to count as similar to research. That's how they apply. A lot of them specific to wave defense, but obviously you do have to work through these, and they're not cheap. Obviously you can see here I've got plenty of work still to do on these, but also long term you have sourcing for a couple of really key things. So you've got your strike team officers, you've got the PvP meta in Carol Freeman, so you've got sourcing for Carol Freeman added to the game. You've got the 2 new skins added. Yes, they were pay only this month, but once you get to Agent, which as you can see will be at around, what's that, 35,000 reputation, you'll be able to start earning the Talios and the Defiant skin for free through this store. Marvellous. This is the big one. Dolomite particles. Dolomite particles are prime particles used for about 9 or 10 different researches. Now, this is slow. Obviously, 10 dolomite particles a day. And once you've got through the first 4 or 5 levels of especially the ship engineering prime and the ship materials efficiency prime, those cost about 1,200 per level. So 120 days per level. If you was to draw this every single day, and 700 credits is quite expensive. So am I super happy with the amount at 10? No. Am I happy that they've added sourcing for free prime research? I absolutely am. This is a massive step forward, and I really hope that this is something that continues to happen. But let's go back and look at other things. Let's look at them crappy away team assignment primes from the away teams tree. Some of the ones in the combat tree. Do you know what I mean? There's stuff in there with materials that we can add, and this is a fantastic opportunity for them to do stuff like that. But I'm really pleased for them to do it. Sloan sourcing. This is the first, apart from Kirk and Spock, this is the one with good, consistent sourcing. The next fleet commander, you look at people like Janeway, 7 of 9, Locutus, they're all tied to very specific, oddly run events and things like that, and they're just not consistent. Whereas with this, in theory, 100 days you could unlock fleet commander Sloan, which I think is really good, and he has some good benefits. And again, his skill points are in here as well, so you're not having to, if you are working on multiple fleet commanders, you're not having to choose when you're exchanging your materials for skill points. You can just come and get them straight from this Scott store, which is really nice. There's the building materials as well, the section 31 transmitters, which are used to upgrade the facade building, all sourced within this loop. I think this tree is an absolutely fantastic extension. Obviously there's reputation in there, there's syndicate XP in there eventually. It's just a fantastic tree. I have very few negatives to talk about this, and this is our next big positive. So this is our second hit of the arc. Thank you so much for making it this far. I told you I would give you one. This is time for our hint for January 2024 in STFC. It's time for our hint. Are you ready? Jads, get your pen and paper out. Here we go. Creating these hints is risky business. If you stumble across the answer too easily, they could even call the international police to arrest me. I could shake things up and be fierce, but the thought of it makes my blood cold. One more time. Creating these hints is risky business. If you stumble across the answer too easily, they could even call the international police to arrest me. I could shake things up and be fierce, but the thought of it makes my blood cold. Oh, there we go. I know that there's multiple hints in there. Have at it. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think of the hint? Let me know on Discord. Give me your ideas. What do you think is coming? There is a few in there. I'll tell you now, there is a few different hints in there. So make the most of it. Go back, share this with your teams, get them involved, build a little bit of hype for the next arc. But yeah, let me know what you think of that. Okay, here we go. Moving on. Our third and final hit. Our third and final hit. Now, this is a feature that has been requested since Armada's launched. And I'm going to put this as our third hit. So, if you go back into the factions, go back into our Section 31 faction that we was talking about before, look in the favours, you will see this little beauty here. Unlocks the ability to quick start Armadas. Oh boy. Quick start Armadas. So we have now got the ability to get rid of the timer down to 30 seconds on Armadas to really speed up some time, hopefully reduce some screen time, so you are not sat there just watching, waiting for your Armada timer to run down before you can run it. Or if your team's all there and ready, you can just pop it and go. So it's going to be really helpful for teams that are at war, that just want to, right, everybody get there in 1 minute and then we'll start it and then we'll go that way. It might help with stuff like that. But obviously as well, big thing for me is that you'll be able to complete multiple Armadas faster, and there will, once you unlock this, be a daily drip of the ability of the material needed in order for you to actually use this quick start ability. So pleased with that. But how do you unlock it as a general rule? So you've got the Armada quick start favor, so it costs 11,200 of these Section 31 faction credits, and so it is absolutely free to play. You could have acquired this for purchase during December if you really wanted to. Obviously you could still go and buy the credits and do this a little bit quicker if you needed to. However, I think it's fantastic that they've put this quality of life improvement behind a very good feature. They've not made it too cheap, so you are going to have to strive for it. 11,200 credits is not to be sniffed at. However, fantastic addition to the game. And how does it work? So the way that it works is when you start an Armada, obviously we've got an Eclipse Armada event going on now. So let's see if we can start one. So if we just, oh god, I don't want us to be starting at 33, do we? Let's see if we can find one in the 40s system. I'm sure we can. Let me find one. Here we go. So I've started this level 40 exchange bank Armada. So you can see there that obviously it's got 6 minutes 10 seconds left. And what you do is you literally click on your flag. Now beware, to see this menu you would have to have your ship in the circle. So if it's on its way to the Armada, you won't be able to see it for obvious reasons. So that's a little bit of a fail-safe there. You can't start it and speed it up when you're 4 minutes away warping. So you need to be in the system. So a nice little catch there by Scopely. Nice little net to save your materials. But you can see there, attacking 30 seconds, using your speed up, you would literally click that button and then that would allow you to only have a 30-second timer remaining. So fantastic feature, something that's been requested since Armada's started. It's fantastic that bit of feedback has finally been listened to and been implemented in the game. So they were my hits and misses for December of 2023. Obviously, the other thing I didn't really mention was the event store, because the event store was just good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't fantastic. It was just good. Obviously, it was a big feature of the month. The loot was decent. I managed to max out Enterprise E data, which I'm really happy with, and get my Neelix well on the way to tier 5. It's about tier 4.25-ish. So I was able to do some good stuff from that event store, but it wasn't as blockbuster as some of the other Christmas event stores that we've had, where it just felt like loot was coming out of our ears. It was just okay. So a little honourable mention there that the event store was good. Good. I've got nothing else really to say on it. So please like and subscribe to the video. Obviously, drop any comments that you've got down below. They really do help the channel, by the way. Just leaving a comment saying, yeah, this was good, that was bad, this was that. Just any comments, it really, really helps. So please do that. If you want to, and you want to support the show regularly, we do have a join button down below, so you can join and become a member of the channel. We've got some lower priced options, a couple of higher priced options, so there's plenty to choose from that should suit everybody's budget. But please feel free to do that. Obviously, not required at all, just very, very appreciated. It joins the likes of Andy, Candy, VA and Minnie, who are already members on the channel. A massive thank you to all 4 of you for being the members on the channel. It's really humbling, really, really humbling. But thank you so much, guys. Please check out our merch store. Go to itslube.com. You can see all of our merch on there. You can see all of our content on there. You can get links to our Twitch channel and everything that you need to stay up to date with It's Lube and the team. Happy New Year to everybody. Have a fantastic 2024. We'll be here with you for everything STFC. But until then, remember, guys, everything is better with lube. Take care and have a wonderful day.